say we got it made. Don't they know we're so afraid? Isolation.
To be set or placed apart, detached or separated so as to be
alone. In one word,
isolation. Scout says, inside the house lived a malevolent phantom. People said he existed, but Gemini had never seen him. Page 10. This is an example of isolation through the character of Arthur Boo Radley. In this part of the novel, Scout tells Dill of whom Boo Radley is and his mysterious nature. Boo Radley is an example of a character who experiences isolation because he is described to be trapped in his house and never seen, hence the word phantom. He is isolated from society because his neighbors, including Gem and Scout, think of him as a myth and don't even know if he really exists or not.
Just a boy and a little girl.
Gem explains to Scout the difference between a mixed child outside of the courthouse. They don't belong anywhere. Colored folks won't have them because they're half white. White folks won't have them because they're colored. So they're just in-betweens. Don't belong anywhere. Page 215. Mixed people in the town of Macomb are stuck right in the middle between two rocks that won't change their views. They are isolated and excluded from society and are treated like trash because nobody wants them or wants to have anything to do with them.
Newsflash! On April 29, 2011, Bradley Manning was cleared to leave the isolation cell.
He was charged for his involvement in the WikiLeaks scandal.
It was in the Army that he admitted that he was homosexual.
he had written openly about his feelings of loneliness and isolation that he had experienced.
This is Manning while he was serving in the Army.
This is him after he was released from isolation.
Proving that isolation debilitates the human being.
Isolation.
In The Help by Catherine Stockett, the Black community is an example of isolation. Even the kids are taught that Black or colored people don't belong. After coming home from school one day, May Mobley tells Aibileen what a teacher told them. Miss Taylor says kids that are colored can't go to my school because they're not smart enough. This helps to give a greater understanding of not only the views of Miss Taylor, it also demonstrates the feelings of many other whites. The Black race is greatly isolated for no other reason than just that, their race. Although Eugenia, also known as Skeeter Falon, is white, she also faces isolation. She's one of the few that want to help Black people and greatly supports them. Hilly Holbrook, on the other hand, is not one of those people. She shows her great resentment for Blacks and Skeeter when she says she cannot have color-supporting friends. The result of this is that Skeeter is excluded from their friendship, and by the end of the book she's almost entirely isolated by her own community.
In the play The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare, isolation is evident when Shylock protests about the suffering he endures in the rising action of the play. He says to his rival Antonio, "You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spat upon my Jewish gabardine, rame upon my beard, and foot me as you spurn a stranger cur over your threshold." As a Jew, Shylock is isolated from the Christian community and wounded by the anti-Semitism he faces.
He hath disgraced me, and hindered me 500,000, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation, thwarted my bargains, cooled my friends, heated mine enemies, and what's his reason? I am a Jew!
Additionally, his daughter Jessica is isolated from society. Although she elopes with Lorenzo, a Christian, and converts to Christianity, Jessica is not welcomed into the Christian community. In the falling action of the play, Graciano says, "But who comes here? Lorenzo and his infidel." An infidel is a person who does not accept a particular faith, especially Christianity. Therefore, despite her conversion, Jessica is isolated from the Christian community.
Gordon Brown describes Henry Drummond as a slouching hulk of a man whose head juts out like an animal's. You look into his face and you wonder why God made such a man. And you know that God didn't make him, that he is a creature of the devil, perhaps even the devil himself. Page 28. Brown compares Drummond to the devil, but this really represents what the entire town thinks of Drummond. They believe that since he is arguing against the Bible and against Matthew Harrison Brady, that he is arguing against each and every inhabitant of Hillsborough. They do not welcome him at all when he arrives at the town, and therefore isolate him. After the court case, Brady attempts to make a speech, but no one is listening. The judge attempts to help Brady by pleading to those in the court, "We beg your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen." Colonel Brady has some remarks to which I am sure will interest us all. But the milling about and the slopping of lemonade continues. Page 118. Brady loses many of his followers immediately after the court case, and so consequently he loses many of his attention. When the town begins to ignore him, he suddenly feels left out and very alone.
Short story Beauty and the Beast by Madame La Prince de Beaumont is an example of isolation. The beast who is under a spell and trapped in an ugly monster is excluded and isolated from society. The beast lives in a faraway castle and is feared among many. When the merchant is told to bring one of his daughters to live with the beast forever, none of his daughters will go because they are selfish and fear the beast. All but one daughter, who is the kindest of all, goes and breaks the spell of the beast by agreeing to marry him and saves him from his misery. The beast is isolated because of how he looks and the form of his body.
In the story A Young Man's Folly, the main character's father leaves the family. The young man feels a great deal of hurt because the relationship between the two is broken, and he is isolated by his father.
Alone. Alone.
Alone. In the darkness where no one can hear,
Sitting on a stool of,
Isolation.
looking around,
afraid.
to get up.
You may lose your chair to the darkness.
Being alone.
Being alone.
What could be worse at this time?
No one to sit near.
No one.
To talk to.
It is all just an obstacle in the maze of life.
Shadowed in the bushes at one point,
Illuminated by sunlight at another.
Then
And
back to the shadow of isolation.
So late, I don't expect you